Hey, what's up, guys? Gonz here for the Face Like the Sun channel. I just want to make a quick video here telling you all about this patent that was filed by Visa. Yes, the Visa that everybody knows about with the credit cards and everything else. They filed a patent back in November of 2019, although this right here says 2018. I'm wondering if that's a typo. But in any case, the abstract here says that the patent is for a digital fiat currency. Techniques are disclosed, which include receiving by a central entity computer a request for digital currency. Now, there are many things here. I see a lot of comments in the video I just made public called Is the Dollar About to Crypto? I actually recorded this video back in March of 2020 and I made it available for patrons, and I just made it public yesterday. But I see a lot of comments in there that I don't think people are really understanding the difference between centralized versus decentralized cryptocurrencies. And the reason why a company like Visa is trying to create a central entity computer based digital currency or digital dollar, and one that is built using blockchain. Now, blockchain itself is just a ledger, and it's just a way to secure information. It's nothing more than that. If you use a decentralized system with a blockchain, you have a lot more security and you have more sovereignty in terms of a government or some kind of institution cannot control all that information. Well, it says right here in the abstract that they are creating a central entity computer, which means that this is centralized. This is not good. This is not the same as something like Bitcoin or Litecoin or all these other coins out there in the cryptocurrency world, where it's open source and people have developed it over the years openly and with consensus of the entire community of people working on it. It's very different from that because this is basically a system that they want to use as gatekeeping the digital dollar so they can track the digital dollar much, much better. So every dollar you spend, they will be able to track with more efficiency and just more control. They're always wanting more control. Now, the other part of this abstract here in this patent says the central entity computer causes removal of the physical currency from circulation in a fiat currency system. So the reason why that's really important is because, again, it mentions the central entity computer. Very different from something like Bitcoin that has tens of thousands of computers around the world, independent from one another, all verifying transactions, holding everybody accountable. Think of the three branches of government. It's meant to hold each other accountable. Not one entity can come in and control everybody. You have three branches. In theory, I know that it hasn't worked out exactly, and a lot of corruption and everything is involved, but there is a process to pass laws and everything else. It doesn't just happen because one person decides. That is similar to the idea of a decentralized system, as opposed to a centralized system who can play gatekeeper, who can basically play king. And this is what this patent is trying to do. And it's trying to remove physical currency from circulation in a fiat currency system. Now, fiat, remember, means decreed. Okay, so the government decrees money and says, okay, a dollar is worth a dollar. It doesn't matter what it's backed by. It doesn't matter if it's backed by nothing. Like our US dollar is, you have to abide by the rule that a dollar is a dollar. And in that way, the dollar itself is already basically the beast system. It's the world reserve currency, so it's already kind of like the one world currency. But again, it's controlled by a central entity. And this digital form with the blockchain is basically trying to use buzzwords like the blockchain. There's no need for a blockchain for a central entity computer because it's centralized. The data is behind a gatekeeper. It's behind one central authority. So I really don't know how else to explain it to a lot of you guys out there that don't get it. It's really a simple thing, the difference between centralized and decentralized cryptocurrencies. And I'm not saying that cryptocurrencies are the end all be all. It's a tool, okay? It's almost like a life raft as the traditional systems fall apart. And the reason why companies like Visa are doing this is because they see the end of the current fiat system. And of course, it's always been planned to tear it down and to build something up different. But in that process of building something up different, we, the people, have an opportunity to take back a little bit of sovereignty. And that's what the whole idea of precious metals like gold and silver. But also, if you're just talking about digital things, then something like Bitcoin and Litecoin And Ethereum, well, maybe not Ethereum, because I was going to say that this patent explains how they're going to build this system on Ethereum. But in any case, the decentralized cryptocurrencies is really, I think it's going to be the last bastion of any kind of sovereignty or freedom before they really start to lock down everything behind centralized authorities. So if you're unfamiliar with this stuff, start learning about it and just understand that there's a difference between centralized and decentralized systems. Now, again, I'm not saying that cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin is the end all be all. It's not. The scriptures are clear about money being a tool, something that is not to be worshiped or loved, especially over the love of God and the love of your neighbor. Matthew 6:20 talks about storing up your treasures in heaven. Ecclesiastes 5:10 in the Berean Study Bible translation says, "He who loves money is never satisfied by money, and he who loves wealth is never satisfied by income. This too is futile." So a lot of this is futile. I get it. And of course, Matthew 6:24, no one is able to serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and he will love the other, or he will be devoted to one and he will despise the other. You are not able to serve God and mammon. And so what I'm trying to tell you, everybody here on this channel, and everybody watching out there, I don't love money. In fact, I kind of hate money. I think money itself, from the beginning, is controlled. But much like politics, right? You have to choose what you're going to use. And of course, if you really wanted to stay off the system and off the grid, you can use gold and silver, although you may not be able to buy all the things you need to buy with gold and silver. And also, food, ammo, those types of things are currency. If you really think about it, those things you should store up on as well, but not because you're trying to become wealthy or rich or anything like that, but because you're trying to basically be good stewards and protect your family and everything else. However, it's my guess that most people out there have a bank account. Most people out there probably have a PayPal account or some kind of digital money account. And that digital account right now, that digital money is debt and credit. It's not actually fiat. And this is why Visa is filing for this patent for a fiat digital currency or digital dollar. Now, in the description here, it talks about a whole bunch of stuff. On 0004, it says cryptocurrency systems have advantages over fiat currency systems. For example, cryptocurrency money transfers can be faster than conventional fiat currency money transfers. Lastly, because some cryptocurrencies use blockchains, such cryptocurrencies are often trusted since blockchains are immutable records of transactions. That's all it is. Blockchains are immutable records of transactions, which means once you have a transaction, you can't reverse it. Okay? And so there's an appeal there to that system of like, hey, once a transaction's recorded, you can't reverse it. Now, the good thing about that, from the positive side, is people can't mess with it. Oh, I messed up. Let me just reverse that transaction. You can't do that. The other party will have to send money back the other way. Whereas with credit cards, if you use your credit card right now, you pay for it and it looks like the money comes out right away, but technically it's just credit. And it actually takes, I think, up to 30 or maybe even 60 days for that money to actually clear. So the system right now is broken and heavily, heavily controlled. And on the next one, it says, while cryptocurrencies have advantages, they're generally not subject to regulation like fiat currencies. Further, it is not practical for governments to wholly convert their fiat currency systems entirely to cryptocurrencies, since cryptocurrencies require the use of electronic devices. Some segment of the population of a country may not have electronic devices, so a complete conversion of fiat currencies to cryptocurrencies is not practical. And that's really interesting as well, because yes, it's true that you need electronic systems to access your currencies, your cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Ethereum or Litecoin. But in that access point, if you know your private keys and if you've memorized them and if you keep it safe, then you are the only one that can access those cryptocurrencies and make transactions with it. With a company like Visa, with any kind of bank, those are the ones that are gatekeepers allowing you to access your money. So the reason why these banks and central banks and everybody is trying to create these blockchain-based digital fiat systems right now is because they are afraid of losing power. Okay, now, of course, there's a greater system going on here with electronics and the internet and everything else. I get that. But in the immediate here, the idea of Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and all these cryptocurrencies is the fact that the traditional systems are not needed anymore. And they're afraid of losing power. And so you have a choice. You can control your own digital money, or you can trust the central authorities like Visa and your banks to control it for you. And if they say, oh, sorry, you can't access your bank account, well, tough luck. And if they say, hey, we need to place this brand or this logo on your hand or your forehead or microchip vaccine, whatever, that's another element of it. And it's much closer, I think, to the current system with the Mark of the Beast type of infrastructure than anything else. But one thing that everybody misses with the Mark of the Beast prophecies and Revelation 13 and everything else is the fact that worship is the main point. Worship of the beast is the main component, not the buying and selling and the mark. Those are things that come afterwards or as part of the worship of the beast. So I know everyone's freaking out about the vaccines and the quantum dots and the Luciferese, and those things are all there. The Microsoft patent, the HR 6666, all of it, okay? And we've covered all those things on this channel. But in reality, I think those are just ways to try to scare everybody. Because if you really look at the prophecy, it's about worship. It's not about the buying and selling, it's about worship. And I'm working on a longer mini documentary on the Mark of the Beast to really break it down, to really drive home that point. That you're going to really have to understand that the Mark of the Beast is surrounding worshiping the beast and a false prophet that points everybody to worship the beast and lots of supernatural things going on in the process. In number 32 here, it says a central entity may refer to an entity that regulates something. A central entity may be a central bank, which regulates a monetary supply. Okay, so think about this. With gold, there's a limited supply, right? There's only so much gold in the world. And there's only so much gold that can be mined. And so that's why there's a limited supply that was not really established by anyone other than maybe God. Whereas with the current monetary system, the central bank can tell you how much supply it has. And they've recently announced that it's going to be infinite, that they're going to print to infinity. So you be the judge. What do you think is going to happen to money, the dollar, if the supply keeps going up? Our dollar has already lost tremendous amount of purchasing power and value. It's only going to get worse. And there's words like hyperinflation. There's things like modern monetary theory that are really at play here. But that's the thing. You have this choice between modern monetary theory, which is bow down to the government. The government says a dollar's worth a dollar, so it'll always be worth a dollar, despite the fact that we're being flooded with multiple trillions and trillions of dollars into the system, devaluing each unit of a dollar less and less and less. And that's why when things get more expensive, it's not actually going up in value. Your dollar is just worth less and less and less. So you got to change your mindset here. People think that, oh, more dollars is better. Oh, this is so expensive. It's gotten so expensive. No, it just means your dollar doesn't go as far as it does before. And it says right here, number 35, fiat currency is currency that is a currency without intrinsic value that has been established as money, often by government regulation. They tell you in this patent exactly what fiat currency is. They know that their money that they're issued, the dollars that are sitting in your bank account right now, ultimately is just there because the government says it is and because they say that there's value with it. There's no intrinsic value in the dollar. So keep that in mind. Number 37, a cryptocurrency network may include one or more computers, usually way more than one. I don't know why they say one. They say one because they want to include that centralized system. One or more computers that participate in maintaining a cryptocurrency ledger. In some cryptocurrency networks, the distributed cryptocurrency ledger may comprise a blockchain. Examples of a cryptocurrency network may include networks of computers that manage any suitable cryptocurrency, including, but not limited to, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, Zcash, Dash, Ripple, and Monero. These are all cryptocurrencies, and it's interesting that they would include Zcash, Dash, and Monero in this because those three are considered privacy coins, and you can't really trace all the transactions, especially Monero. Now it gets into a digital wallet, and I want to keep this video short, so I'm not going to really go too far into this, and I got through all of this stuff here, and basically what I'm discovering is that I think they're building this system on Ethereum. 135, in some embodiments, Ethereum may be used to implement various aspects described herein. Ethereum is a blockchain framework implementation. Ethereum is an open source platform and is described in detail in Ethereum, a secure, decentralized, generalized transaction ledger by Dr. Gavin Wood at ethereum.org. And number 136, in some embodiments, digital fiat currency may be implemented using Ethereum, as illustrated in this figure that we'll look at in a second here. And so it's very interesting that they're using Ethereum as the main system to build this on. And so Bitcoin itself, people are saying it's a store of value, and it has definitely performed well in terms of dollar denomination in the last, I don't know, couple months since the big crash. So I can go on and on here, but I want to keep this very short because the main point of this is really the the dead giveaway here of who's behind something like this Visa-based digital dollar. And as you can tell, you have this whole chart here of how this system is supposed to work, and you have the blockchain in the back end, you have the middleware with validating entities, you have the front end with users and asset owners and transactions and everything else. But then above that, you have your ATMs, you have your governments, and then you have your architects. And in that architect diagram here with the 4 cylinders, you have the square and compass, and it says architect underneath. And if you guys are familiar with this channel, if you guys are familiar with the Freemasons, the square and compass is distinctly a logo for the Freemasons, the as above, so below system, and it also is the X of the mark. And I'll get into all that stuff in the video of the Mark of the Beast that I'm putting together a little bit longer. It's going to take a while because I'm writing it and I'm trying to actually produce a video. And so there you have it. Visa applies for digital dollar blockchain patent. And the whole thing is just one big way to try to maintain power and authority while the people, you and I, can decide to transact in Bitcoin or something else, gold, silver, food, bullets, whatever it is. And the central governments can't do anything. And the central banks can't do anything. But they want to get in the middle of that. They want to make sure that they can track everybody, even though everybody is going to move away from these systems that require them. Okay, so that's the big revolution with Bitcoin, is the fact that you don't need these entities to really operate. And that's why projects like the Celsius Network are out there to try to help people unbank themselves and become basically your own bank. And I know that sounds very Mark of the Beastie, but again, there's a big component here that's still missing, and that's the worship of the beast. Again, I don't love money. I really don't. I wish money was not really the way it is, but it is the big control mechanism here. And we have an ability to use these tools like cryptocurrencies, or truly decentralized cryptocurrencies, not government issued cryptocurrencies, and take back a little bit of that freedom, a little bit more of that responsibility of our own money. And that's all it is. That's all this is. And that's all my message has been on this channel regarding cryptocurrencies. It's not to get rich, or it's not, some of that may be the symptoms or the effects of this system as the dollar goes down and assets like Bitcoin go up, because you see, major stock trader people coming out and saying they're going into Bitcoin a little bit, and big hedge funds and stuff. All these institutions are starting to get into the crypto space because they see that the people are already there. The people that get it are already there, and they want to be able to track everybody. And so it's up to you to manage your systems. And that's really the message here. I want to keep it short. I know there's a lot of different opinions about this, but I'm trying to say that this is more like a life raft for the time being. In the long term, it's not going to solve anything. In the long term, it may turn out to be the Mark of the Beast infrastructure. But again, I am saying right now that the current system, the way it's set up, is much closer to the Mark of the Beast than it is with some kind of cryptocurrency, especially because I don't need a mark on my hand or the forehead to access my Bitcoin. I don't. But I need to bow down to Visa. I need to bow down to my bank to access the money that's in the bank account. So I just hope and pray that you guys think about this, think clearly about this, and try to learn about it, because it is different. It's very different. But as we go along here and as things start to unfold, we need to be as wise as serpents and as gentle as doves, meaning we need to understand what the enemy is doing and understand how it's being implemented, but also be gentle as doves in that we're not going to use these systems to hurt one another. We're going to use these systems to glorify God. And as difficult as that might sound, it's something that we need to think about as we move forward here. So I know I have a lot more to say about this. I know you have a lot of opinions about this, but I'm going to keep it short. I'm going to keep it to the point. And we'll definitely get back to more of these conversations, because I know everybody is curious about these issues. But again, something like Celsius Network is here to help you out. And I'll make maybe a tutorial or something for those of you who are new to all of this. But in effect, the guy who created Celsius Network is the same guy who destroyed the phone industries in the 90s with VoIP, voice over IP, things like Skype, things like Zoom, that technology. The guy who made that technology is now creating something that's going to basically destroy the banks. And so all I'm saying is it's a life raft in a way. If your bank accounts start draining your money out or they lock you out of your account, you're not going to have access to that money. And so it's up to you to learn how to preserve it, but also figuring out what you need in order to survive in the physical sense. Of course, prepare spiritually first, but then if you're talking about the physical, do what you got to do to use your money, this digital money, for the things you need, whether it be shelter, clothes, food, water, ammunition, all those things, maybe land. And that's another tough one. Land is really important. Land is probably more valuable than any of this stuff. But of course, every inch of land is pretty much controlled by the governments. So really pray on it, think about it, but be open-minded about some of these issues and learn about them, because there is a good and a bad approach to cryptocurrencies. And all the stuff happening with Visa and the governments and the central banks, that's the bad version of the cryptocurrency. This is the way more controlled version. And it's not going to be good. It's going to be a power grab by them to maintain their power, as opposed to allowing the power to go back into the hands of the people. So all that being said, thank you guys for watching this video. Try to keep it as short as possible, but I tend to go on and rant and just talk about these things because there's a lot on my mind with this stuff and there's a lot of research being done, and I just wanted to get to it. Let me know your thoughts in the description section. Please share this video. YouTube is really throttling my views, so hopefully you guys can pick this up on BitChute. And I'm working on getting a library.tv account going. And let me know any other platforms that you think is worthwhile. Right now, I know that it's just a matter of time before every one of these YouTube channels gets shut down. So I'll keep doing it as long as I can, but I'm also trying to figure out ways to get off of it and figure out ways to continue to share the gospel in context with all these other issues. So thank you guys for watching. Have an awesome day. God bless.